Elon has said this, that everyone will eventually want FSD, and after having had a Tesla for not even 2 weeks, I believe him, and I only have autopilot. It is unbelievable. I can't even imagine how much better FSD beta is already. People tell me they'd be concerned and not feel comfortable or trust the car. I feel like this will go away in time, and I bet you said people actually haven't even experienced a self-driving Tesla themselves. I don't think it would take long for people to realize quickly how much more relaxing it is to be driven yourself, how much more you can do in the car when you don't have to drive. Time is money. Why do you think the rich have chauffeurs? This is what technology does. It increases our standard of living so we can live like the wealthy at a fraction of the cost. Tesla makes robots or robot cars. These cars drive themselves, replacing labor. Whenever you create a technology that replaces labor, it is incredibly valuable, along with other technologies that simply leverage what a human laborer can do, such as the plough. Anyway, the more people experience this, the more they will start to trust it, along with regulation. Governments, in theory, should want this, as it simply adds more value to the citizens. If tax-paying citizens have an extra 20 hours or so a month, then they could use that to work, and use that time more efficiently. It means they can earn more money. When citizens earn more money, then they pay more tax, or they're less stressed when they arrive at work, due to not having to battle traffic, and they're more rested and thus work more efficiently, and in turn are more valuable and earn more money, and the company they work for earns more, and governments receive more tax. Governments love things that give them more tax. Unfortunately, at the individual level, politicians like things that give them more funding for their campaigns, which is why an average senator spends 30 hours a week fundraising, as there is something like 95% correlation in politics of whomever spends the most on their campaign wins. And guess what? Senators are not charities. The individuals or groups funding these campaigns like something in return. The same applies for presidents, as we're now witnessing that GM or the UAW want something back for what they've paid for. This is why Elon was recently saying that governments should be referees and not active players. Tesla may have to pay the piper to get FSD regulated, but I don't think it's the money Elon or Tesla care about. It's more that it goes against the morals of what the company stands for. As Elon says, we're the good guys. Besides, the amount required for lobbying for FSD and robotaxis is a negligible amount when compared to the potential of these services and how much value they add to Tesla. But anyway, Tesla and Elon know all this better than me, and they're still full steam ahead, so I trust they know what they're doing and have found ways around this. Most people can easily justify $200 a month to save 20 or so hours of driving a month. It comes in at $10 an hour. But we aren't talking about most people. We're talking about Tesla owners, who are likely above average wealth as they were able to afford a brand new Tesla. This generates so much extra profit per vehicle for Tesla, say $72,000 extra gross profit per vehicle over 30 years. Why is it whenever I add things up like this with Tesla, it always adds to trillions of dollars in potential valuation? Trillions? Oh wait, what? $72,000 times 10 million a year, say? Well, that's $720 billion profit per year, if we put a valuation of $72,000 per every car with FSD subscription. And perhaps not every car takes up FSD or even the subscription model, but with a PE ratio of 30, then that's still $21 trillion. Okay, it doesn't work quite like that, although I bet some of the accountants that work for Enron could manage it. But it has to be taken into consideration, and after 10 or 20 years, Tesla will start to accumulate this passive income. Plus, of course, Tesla might end up making more like 40 million cars a year. I think Tesla will possibly end the one-off FSD subscription, maybe. I think this is what Elon means by lock-in FSD today, as in you will have to always pay for the subscription model in the future. Either way, it looks like level 5 autonomy will only be offered by Tesla. Tesla will have the monopoly. But not only that, any level 4 competitor will be an inferior product. It will be involved in more collisions and thus less safe, and it will simply take longer to reach its destination. These numbers start to blow your mind. Tesla are creating robots that replace labor. And I'm not talking about their actual robots, but their self-driving cars. Labor's very expensive, and when you can replace it with a robot, it is worth a fortune. And this doesn't even mean we lose jobs. Well, okay, perhaps chauffeurs, but a lot of them drive limos, and Tesla doesn't appear to have plans to have a self-driving limousine yet. So FSD will possibly not result in many job losses, at least in the private vehicle market. I'm not referring to robotaxis. It will, however, mean that people do not exert energy or stress when going to work. They're less tired and more productive, perhaps meaning that their value far exceeds the $200 a month they have to pay for their FSD. It could also mean that they do a lot more work in their Tesla on the way to work or coming back, Perhaps in lieu of a steering wheel there is a shelf for a laptop that you can work on the whole time, like writing scripts for YouTube videos. With 20 hours a week of driving, then you just have to justify a wage of $10 after tax to cover the cost of the FSD. But most Tesla owners do earn more than that, so it should work. If you truly don't believe FSD is likely to become an essential feature for the majority of consumers when buying a new car, then I'm going to guess you have not fully experienced a Tesla driving itself firsthand. And right, robotaxis will replace jobs, as well as robo-semi-trucks, but I'm just talking about FSD for private passenger use here. What does this mean? Well, maybe 10 or 20 million Teslas on the road by the end of 2025 or 2026. Even at 10 million with $200 a month subscription, then that's income of $24 billion a year, pure gross profit. I said gross, we're not factoring in the cost of running FSD. But not only that, if Tesla are also selling 10 million cars a year, then that will accumulate a further $24 billion a year. So perhaps by the end of the decade, then there are 100 million Teslas on the road, generating about $240 billion a year, which is pretty good. With a PE ratio of 30, that's a valuation of $7.2 trillion. Okay, I throw these big numbers out very optimistically, but does it matter? Even if it's half of that, or doesn't happen for 2 more years after, we are in the money. Like I said, it's going to be over the lifetime of the vehicle when it really starts to kick in, like more towards 2040. Perhaps with 500 million Teslas on the road, then we have $1.2 trillion gross profit. Right, well, that's going to be a lot better. Of course, these numbers assume 100% adoption rate, but at that stage, not having FSD in your car might feel something closer to like buying a phone without a data plan. Anyway, that will not be for a while. As for our instant gains, for us, FSD is going to be much more noticeable when it comes to robotaxis. But if you're holding Tesla for perhaps decades, then the FSD subscription is also going to affect the stock price. If Tesla are generating $1 trillion a year just from FSD, well, add on to everything else they might have, and surely we're at a $50,000 stock price, adjusted for inflation. And that likely doesn't even include the humanoid robots replacing labor. Remember how I keep telling you all, Tesla hasn't even gotten started? Well, I'm not just talking about how few cars they produce. If you can hodl your shares that long, then we're likely hitting dividends, although I wouldn't expect a particularly high yield, as we are surely still at a PE ratio of 30 or so. And Tesla would still be a relatively new company, 30-ish years, compared to some of the auto companies that we have around today of well in excess of 100 years. But imagine the levels of vertical integration Tesla has achieved by then, and they don't need to go and diversify into other industries like smartphones. So yeah, everyone, stop with the PiPhone comments. That is not a thing. Tesla and Elon look forward, not backwards. They're not going to try and compete with Apple. Apple are much more likely to try and compete with Tesla. And as you've heard the latest, that because no other legacy auto company wants to team up with Apple, they're now attempting to build an electric car with Foxconn, who recently purchased Lordstown. Look how long it's taking Amazon with Rivian, with a target of 1 million vehicles a year by 2030. When do you think Apple would reach 1 million vehicles a year, starting this late in the game? Tim Cook is great at operations, but the vision of that company died with Jobs. Anyway, let's be thankful for Cook's lack of vision, in the fact that he didn't take Elon's call when he was looking at selling to Apple. We owe you one, Tim, or maybe a million, or few. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.